Okay, we're still inside our quarantine period for Judge Black in the main courthouse, at least until August, what was the date, 18th?
We'll open up the 19th.
We'll open up the 19th. So one more day of this. Have we had any more presumptive positives or anybody testing that we've heard?
Not that I know.
So we're still without any additional positives. We're still holding pat at 3. Dave, Noe, you on this call? Hearing no. Can't really say too much about the employees. But
they're doing all right.
We're hopeful. The one person that I've talked to was still, he said he did an hour of yard work and it knocked him on his butt. So, still suffering because of it.
I think no, he's planning on bringing his employees in tomorrow and opening mail and get things back up and geared up for Wednesday. So
we're excited by the governor's plan to reopen schools. It's a good one by the looks of it. And the way he'll open them back up based on the community spread. The discussion that was raised was like, my son's going to Fairmont State. Pretend he tests positive. Does that get counted for Fairmont, Marion County? Does it count for a person that's on site? But we know that he'll count as a Wood County resident. So how we change it from there is going to be interesting.
This whole thing points out the need for internet throughout the county and how important it would be if we had internet for the kids if they go to online learning.
Yeah, we reached out to Jonathan Adler with the Association of Counties and talking to Richie Heath. Doddridge County invested $1 million in a broadband service that they're going to try to get up and running. Not real sure what their status is. I know the governor has stated that all school kids should have internet access and he's going to try to provide it for them. I saw where a location was using 28 school buses as hotspots and parking them in neighborhoods to make sure kids could get online. So yeah, we really, talking to John Kelly and Vernon Chris, really impressed upon them that regulation of a broadband service should be through the PSC. It should be like water and sewer.
Because they've tried to do it in this county. I'm not saying that the people were not reputable, but it's not true. We need some sort of organized, like the PSC, to able to put a positive plan in effect so we can have broadband.
Yeah, you're right. But we know the schools are going to have a heavy lift, especially if some children don't even have internet devices, let alone access. So
I thought the county had furnished laptops for kids in the county.
I think they're giving out iPads to all the kids.
they're giving out iPads to all the kids. So I think WDP's library had a loaner program for laptops, iPads, and they're already all distributed and trying to buy more. Chris, we got our shipment in and distributed. He gives me a thumbs up. So we have sent iPads to those people that are working from home, or not iPads, laptops. But thank God we're buying a pack of creamer for Bob Waters. Lots of paperwork to sign. Pat has a governor's extradition that's involving one of my cases. I don't know who this person is or what they did to me, so.
They allegedly rented 2 vehicles from you and then stripped the catalytic converters from them.
Oh yeah, they did. They rented 1 vehicle.
Was it only one?
Yeah, and yeah. So we pull the vehicle up, everything's fine. They depart. A concerned citizen called us and said, "Hey, there's this Hertz van up on Chalks, and they're underneath pulling stuff off of it." So we get back, we rent it to somebody, and it runs really rough, and they call us, and we have to swap it out. So I go underneath, and I can't see anything. We took it to a mechanic. He said they used a dryer vent, those elastic things to cover up where they were.
Wow.
And then they used the dryer vent tape to tape it up. And so we called them, and I said, you know, you need to come in and square this up. But we didn't do anything. Well, wait a minute. You rented it, so you never did it. And you don't know this woman, you don't know this address. Well, she drove it. And I was out of town for a few days. So they cut the catalytic converters off, and so now that van's sitting up at the Wood County Airport awaiting instructions. Should we take it to a dealership and get it fixed? But hey, Wharton's can't fix it because they don't handle the tall roof panel vans. So the closest place we could find was either Columbus or Pittsburgh, and it would be a loud ride over there. And I figure they'll just send it to the auction. So let somebody else deal with the heartache. Well, see, that's what always happens. So somebody gets one without 2 catalytic converters. So they go get one and steal 2 off, put it on theirs, and then that guy has to go out and steal 2.
Yep.
And it just is a vicious cycle.
So,
It was like gas caps on VWs. The one VW Golf had an exposed gas cap, and there was like 1 short in Wood County, so everybody would start losing their gas caps. Drive around the mall till you saw one, hop out, get you a freshie, and then off you go.
Were you a participant, perhaps?
No, I would, the statute of limitations is over, but I had a friend, I said, someone took your gas cap, and the next day you have one. I said, where'd you get it? He said, at the mall.
I'm sure he might. Auto parts store, sure, right?
You guys gonna have to vote on that.
Is there a motion? I'll need a motion in a second on the governor's extradition, and I'll have to abstain.
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
Moved and seconded.
We need to come in and sign those.
No, just
When you come in to do your paperwork.
Okay.
It's not what's on.
While we're making motions, I'd like to make a motion that we recognize and offer our condolences to the family of Robert T. Goldenberg, who passed this last weekend, for his service to the county, the state, and this country. And that'd be proper to make it a part of our minutes of the meeting.
You know, the night before last, when I came home, he lived right beside me almost. And it was dark, and there was a porch light on, and there was an American flag on his front porch. I said to myself, I would love to take a picture of that and put it on Facebook because it's so, well, I wouldn't do that because I wouldn't put anybody's house on, but it was so fitting and proper and positive to see that flag in front of that man's house. He dedicated his whole life for people and helping people in the community. He was a great gentleman.
As you remember, recently he made several trips to Charleston and to encourage the state police lab to speed up their process to help our judicial system. And Pat was part of that process in talking with Bob. So he was very interested in helping his county with the jail bill through the state police will have to get that lab operating more efficiently and quicker.
Well, that's a right and just motion, Bob. I think, Jimmy, you would probably like to second that.
Yeah, I'll second.
I'll make
Yeah,
it unanimous, and we'll be sure to offer a copy of that to the family. We already gave him the Spirit of Wood County Award, so
Right.
we all knew he was a good guy and in it for the right reasons. And
A friend to all of us too.
yeah, he really was a kind gentleman. So as it happens on this, it's always a question to a community, who will step up next? So if there's somebody sitting out there who needs an invitation to get engaged in their community and their government and their, this is a chance. I mean, when we lost Ed Dills, when we lost Jim Wakely, all these different people that were very active in the business community and with us, I sure hope there are other people that want to take some of the, it's fun, it's good, it makes you feel good at night when you do good for yourself and others, especially others. As we sign papers, so get back to the agenda. Damn, so many papers.
Is Mark there this morning?
No, sir, not yet. I wanted to talk to him about the early vote, but I did see a couple
That's what,
locations.
that was my question about early voting.
Yeah, they usually we put a ballot box on the front steps so people can drop them off. But I saw a couple different places that had big white secure mailboxes or mailbox style that said ballots. And that'd be something that we could look into. Somewhere we would have camera access and somewhere that people can drop off their ballots if they're concerned about mail delivery. I am. I usually would get a check every Monday from Penske. It's arriving Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So my delay is 4 or 5 days. I can't imagine if you were awaiting a mailed prescription. Now, the increased volume of ballots will be no different than Christmas. They deliver millions of packages over Christmas. So they have the capability. It's just a matter of if we have the backbone in place to do it. I like the idea that instead of having a blue ballot box on the front stoop to be easily taken, we put in something more secure. That'd be the, you know, Bob, when you talked about drive-through voting, that's really not feasible for us, but what is drive-through, drop off your ballot. Now, you can't use the sheriff's tax office because we have a line out the door for that, or all on the street. But I believe if we could put up a couple, primarily maybe at city buildings down here for ours, and then, but we'll have to talk to Mark about it. I had some images and tried to find some, what we could invest in, something we could put up every year. But they were big and white, as white as Justin Rayburn. Geesh says one of them. But anyway, or Justin Harden, I should say. He's my friend. He would get the kick out. But it was really unique. People dropping off, they unlock it. You know, it's very secure and add it to the mix. But we'll have to start talking to Mark about how many requests he's received. And even President Trump says absentee balloting is really good. And I think the reason he says that is because you have to proactively or actively engage in requesting. Hey, Mark. We were talking about early vote, and talking about absentee ballots. Even President Trump says those are very safe because you call your clerk's office and request it, so they have record, they send it, and rather than what I think he's concerned about is sending a ballot to every registered voter.
Correct.
And so those are two different things.
They check the signatures as come back.
Oh yeah, but some jurisdictions have done this for decades.
There's, like Washington and Oregon State, they have done it for several years, mainly because of the sparse population that they have. It may be a good 75 miles to your closest precinct or something. And they've got it down to a science.
So the western states that have distance as a problem, they mail out to all registered voters, and I'm sure they're numbered in a variety of ways, and they verify it when it comes back. But for us, we're still into the request absentee. Even in the primary, we mailed out something that said you need to request it.
Correct. We mailed out the application itself to every registered voter.
I think that's a proper way too. I think that's safe and sure, and everybody knows what's going on that way.
I think the proper procedure in West Virginia is safe and secure. And so now we were discussing, instead of leaving a blue ballot box out, let's buy a big white, like a drive-in, so people can drive up and drop their ballots off. I have a few photos of them at other places, and it looked like they made sense to me.
Yeah, I don't think that our
Yeah, Brad, you just made a really great point. But I know the last couple times when I've counted the ballots again, I'm sitting in this room, I'm saying, I don't see how people are complaining so much across the country because our staff, and you know this very well, and Mark's staff, they have done such great follow-ups on who's voting, why they're voting, the telephone thing, and checking signatures. That is almost an anti-fraud kind of thing. It's perfect.
Yeah, so I'm putting up on the big screen, I found 3 styles of early vote. This one is, it goes on a forklift. So it's got a cement pad and a white box mounted. Looks very secure. It says vote by mail ballot drop box. Has a questions phone number. Here's another one that is a steel official ballot drop box. And then here's a third, and that's really big, but also goes on a forklift to be moved. And there's 2 poll workers there to take them. Closes at 8 p.m. on election night, it says. Vote by mail ballot drop box. Question, call municipal clerk's office. Anchorage.
As you recall, we've gotten a lot of ballots in that couldn't be counted until we did the survey later because of the date that they were received, and they were postmarked.
Well,
They were postmarked before
Yes, sir.
the election. So
We didn't have a lot of
we need
those,
to
did we?
encourage people.
in primary, we got about
Well, we had several.
47
We need to
How
encourage
many?
people to get their ballot back to us.
that came in that were postmarks that we were able to count. We only received, I believe, 1 that was postmarked after the election.
So we had 27 that arrived that were postmarked before the election that we counted.
Correct.
We had 1 that was
Right.
postmarked before the election that came after the canvass.
Right.
And so it was too late to add in. But if we have 100 arrive after the canvass that are properly postmarked, and we have a race that is decided by 25 votes, we're going to have some fun. But if they're properly postmarked, but we still have ballots come in that have no postmark.
We have been
Well,
using
the same
stamps.
thing, if you put cans out for people to drop their ballots in, they're gonna have to be collected prior to the election.
Well, on election
That's
night,
what it said.
they would be done.
Right. we started mailing out the applications on the 11th.
August 11th, applications went out. Are you able to hear Mark?
No.
Okay.
Do we have one of the extensions? Why don't you come up here, Mark? We have one of the extensions.
Okay. We started mailing out the applications on the 11th. We sent out probably 1,700 applications in the mail, or 17,000 pieces, sorry, 1,700 pieces of mail on the 11th. With that, we probably got back about 350 of those today. So if we mailed them out on the 11th and got back that many of them today, I don't think there's a big problem with our local mail service at this point. So we did talk with the postmaster of West Virginia last Tuesday. He even had prepared for every county clerk an intelligent barcode label to put on the ballots to try to help speed the processing of these along. We use one on our regular envelope, but he wants this put on there. Of course, that was after we already enabled over 3,000 envelopes to get ready. So we're going to try to work with that.
How many do you anticipate this year?
I honestly don't know, because a lot of people want to come out and actually vote.
Mark, what's your telephone number that people can call you again?
304-424-1860.
And they can call in and request an absentee ballot.
They can call in and request an absentee ballot. If they have internet access with a printer, they can print the ballot off of our website. And the Secretary of State's office has the voter side of a portal set up where you can actually go and request it there, but they don't have the county clerk side of it set up yet. So you may request it, but that's supposed to be done by Wednesday of this week, to where the county clerk will actually receive the request. So we're asking people to hold off on that part of it.
Mark, do you think we could find something like that?
I think, actually, I was just talking to the office about that before I walked over here, because we do have the ballot box. I don't see anything in the law that says we cannot have a ballot box drop off the ballot. That was questioned in the primary election, and the Secretary of State's office said we could not, but what was brought up was a couple of counties wanted to have several locations just setting around throughout the county. If it's at the courthouse, it's pretty much in a secure location.
Yeah, that would be my concern, but, you know, this is Anchorage, Alaska. There's one box, there's a second box, those aren't the same look. Well,
I kind of like the first one with the concrete pad, where
yeah, where it was anchored in.
nobody's going to stop by, pick it up, and carry it off.
Yeah, that thing right there.
Yeah,
It's at the courthouse too, it's easy to put cameras on also.
Yeah,
correct.
good camp. No, I started thinking about that. I would have preferred to do more location. Yeah, I don't like this customer. They said, well, that was like that when I got it. Well,
Yeah.
the guy's house you hit's already called, so kinda hard to miss a big yellow truck.
Yeah.
And then we have to remember this year is the 100-year anniversary of women's suffrage. So I thought that was a pretty cool sticker. And Wood County may want to have those, as well as the typical I voted. And we could start putting in the I early voted. That would be funny. But that would be kind of cool.
When does early voting start, Mark?
You asked me too soon, Bob.
Oh,
October 21st, and it goes through October 31st. Trick or treat.
Some people get in and take it easy.
That's right. Well, they are pretty nice.
We had a nice visit with Congressman McKinley and his staff, Libby Reesbeck, up at Fort Gorman Park. Lots of discussion from him. He was shocked. We didn't discuss certain things with him, but he was really engaged. And Marty talked a lot about Harry Northwood. And what was
Carl.
Carl?
Yeah.
What glass company is he related to?
They were Northwood Glass up in Wheeling from 1888 to 1925, and then he tried, before he became a congressman, tried to revive the company. They had some stuff made of fence. Pretty cool story. So his
And
great,
he believed that those people died in the pandemic.
well, his great grandfather walked outside of the company and dropped over on the sidewalk, which supposedly a heart condition, which if you read 1918 pandemic, a lot of people just dropped over. And then his dad, or his great grandfather's brother died within the year, and they said both of them were from the pandemic.
Oh, it's because
Marty, were you able to share your stories of that glass company with the congressman?
Oh yeah, we talked about it for a little while. It was a fascinating discussion. I'd like to talk to him again about it.
he mentioned he was very happy to be able to talk about Northwood with somebody who knew a lot about it. And it's all because it's Carnival glass, right?
Absolutely. They were the Centenar Glass of Wheeling.
So, Mark, I know we're going to try to discuss additional, since you're hearing so many people want to vote in person, additional polling places based on availability. Has your team put some thought to where you would want to go and what you would want to do?
The poll workers are supposed to be turned in to us by the end of the week. So the conversations that I've had so far with the chairs, or not really the chairs, but the people that are trying to put the poll workers together, they've had a fairly good response. I got a couple of phone calls at home this weekend of some people that are willing to work, so I'm hoping that we have all 68 precincts, so that we have a full staff.
Wow. That would be ideal.
Well, you've got a bunch of loyal workers, Mark, that come back every year, so they come back.
Yes, we do, and that's what I say, we've got a couple of people that called that, that, as I said this weekend, that said that they would volunteer to work. One lady that stood in line at PHS for the primary, said she waited about 45 minutes to vote. She recently retired, and she said she would be willing to work to help keep the lines down.
Don't forget, let's get some of these young kids in there that are 18 and about old enough to be a poll worker.
Well, as long as they're registered to vote, I'll take whoever they send me.
I understand, okay.
Even if they're registered for the birthday party?
They got to work with the year and ours, so it doesn't matter to me. We take nonpartisan.
Mike, your office just has the names and numbers of the party reps that recommend the poll workers, Mark, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes. Right now, if they call in, we ask them to call the party chair for the party appointees that are doing the placements.
Right.
And then after we get that, then we just actually go ahead and put them on the alternate list and start filling in any blanks.
So if somebody wants to work, they can call their party worker and chairman, and he can make the recommendation.
Well, you can call his office direct.
Yeah, if they call my office, we'll tell them who to contact.
Okay, good. Just make sure the press has your phone number, Mark, your office number.
Oh, yes.
Who's our vacancy on the Wood County Rec?
Sean Andrews.
I'd like to make a motion to announce the vacancy of Sean Andrews on the Wood County Rec and place his name in nomination.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
I'll make it unanimous.
Awesome.
He's a strong candidate. He does take the work very seriously.
Yeah, he's been very active as we try to manage out. There has been an agreement struck between Wood County Rec and the Solid Waste Authority. They will provide management and oversight of Wood County Rec on a contracted basis with the Solid Waste Authority. You know, right now Wood County Rec has no programs. They have no events. So there is no income coming in other than some direct governmental funds. So to begin building that program back up, whoever gets in there is starting from scratch. And if nobody remembers, the Wood County Rec was formed in 1948. That's a good long time. So it's right and just to support Wood County Rec, and the Solid Waste Authority sees the ability to promote recycling with an age group that will make an impact. It's hard to reach a 65-year-old and tell them to start recycling. It's much easier if their grandson, who's 6, asks Grandpa why he's not recycling. So,
You know, this is sort of like a tangent here off this. I think that in the future, there's a lot of people who like to piggyback on the Wood County Rec for either insurance, other kind of things. I think that we have to adhere to a policy that these people who want to piggyback, let's just say, I'm going to say wrestling right now, okay? They should have an effect exactly where the money's going, how much is going where, and
I'll get this to you.
I think they should divulge more information to the rec so they have a better way to oversight that.
I believe you're correct, and I think, so if an organization came and said, hey, we want to put a basketball tournament on out the city park, can you guys provide us liability coverage? The discussion has to be,
You guys,
we need to have you open your books up. Because if you want to have a basketball tournament and be a volunteer, we'll run the show. But there's all kinds of, and you're right, this has happened in the past. It's been I don't believe it's been a board decision of Wood County Rec. I think potentially sometimes decisions are made at the director level without board input. But we're going to try to make sure we get quality board members everywhere, especially organizations that need guidance. So I appreciate everybody's willingness to serve. I know Bob Goldenberg served on a ton of boards, but he was that kind of guy, a good board member, attended, was active, contributed, and we need those people too. Anything else, Mr. Super, for the good of the order?
No, just re-emphasize that the courthouse in Black Annex will be opening the doors Wednesday. Masks still required to be.
And we'll meet here in the Judge Black Annex Thursday.
And did not intend on.
by phone,
By phone if you like, or in person. We're promoting social distancing in here.
okay.
We're not meeting with Lubeck PSD until,
Oh, they did send a letter stating that they would extend 30 days, and that takes it to October.
so Lubeck PSD has extended their deadline by 30 days. They voted. We received a lovely letter from Blaine Myers, for the record.
Yep.
C. Blaine Myers. Kablaine. Blaine.
I believe when that public meeting, there we will have more people because I personally have had 3 phone calls, may not seem like a lot, but 3 phone calls, a lot of phone calls from people.
Yeah,
Basically the same problem, you know?
you and I are in the same
They're
boat.
worried about the rate.
I've had people call Hertz, I've had people call my wife, and they have lots of concerns. But the biggest concern they have is that Lubec PSD has really never discussed the need and why. So we need to get them up here on the hot seat.
They'll be here the 24th.
So we'll have to ask.
And again, Larry, but I think the approach that we took with the Public Service Commission, having a lady here with us, is a strong approach to give us not backbone, but we have backbone, but proper process way that we can look at these problems and demand specific information that will help us make judgments.
So we will, on that first meeting here, will be a direct request for information to be produced.
That'll be the 24th.
That'd be the 24th. So I think between now and then, we'll probably want to get a hold of Charlotte Lane and find out. Well, she gave us a packet of things to request. And I think myself, Mr. Sufer, and you guys will all have a chance this coming Thursday to directly request information. And then that's where people in the community may be able to help us understand it. And I'm excited for that too.
I think we need to ask, one of the questions we need to ask is, how much of the increase is gonna go into that fund for reserve, and how long will it take to build the reserve up?
Well, when I looked at that reserve account, they printed up how much they were putting in every month. And that begs a lot of questions for me too. So looking at it, we wanted to know what they expended out of that fund and transferred to accounts payable does not really show us what they spent it on. So I'm excited to have them in here. I think we'll do a lot better than we have on the other, and we'll ask more general questions. But the first time they mentioned a bond issue was after they requested the rate increase. In their documents, they didn't have any information
First
about it.
thing I've seen.
The first thing I've seen from them was from C. Blaine Myers, received Monday, that says mentions anything about a bond. So they're giving us information in dribs and drabs. Even Charlotte Lane said that. A page and a half of information. So, gentlemen, the state of the county is healthy. We are in the green. And so the governor's color-coded system to open schools makes sense. I think you'll have more clarity on that today based on if you're going to school at WVU, do you count as a positive or does that equate? And for me, it's Marion County. My youngest son is at Marietta College. They're in a pod system. They begin classes this morning. I wish everybody luck.
Blair, what you just said is important. They started classes this morning. Classes have to start so we can get this whole thing networking and working. You know, it can't work by just people talking. Doors have to open, people have to show up or whatever.
Right.
And get the system rolling.
Look forward to seeing you here on Thursday if you're able. Attend by phone if you're not. But otherwise, have a wonderful day. Stay dry. Motion to adjourn.
Not a call-in number, we'll get that.
Yes, sir.
Are we gonna use the same call-in number?
Marty will get you the intel.